Good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I am your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, and we have a lot to get to this morning. Not to mention, we're going to be talking to our friends from San Giovanni Valderno, Italy, as part of the Corning Sister City Committee. That's a little bit later on the show. As always, you can reach out and contact the show at the number on the bottom of your screen. I know if you're watching other programs throughout yesterday and today, the biggest topic, O.J. Simpson passing away at 76. We are not going to take a deep dive into that like you may see elsewhere. I think you can find that on your own. I do think there are two interesting, almost side notes to this. First is that the White House did express condolences to O.J.'s family, and there's been some criticism, no mention of his victims. The press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, said, "Our thoughts are with his families during this difficult time, obviously with his family and loved ones. And I'll say this, I know that they have asked for some privacy, and so we're going to respect that, and I'll just leave it there." Also, I don't know how I'm not trying to make this political. I'm just telling you two maybe perhaps stories you haven't heard elsewhere. Another example of why the media has lacked trust for some time. This almost seems like a Freudian slip. The Los Angeles Times reported on O.J. Simpson. At one point during the obituary, the article originally referred to Trump being released from prison instead of Simpson. The quote was, "Long before the city woke up on a fall morning in 2017, Trump walked out of Lovelock Correctional Center outside of Reno, a free man for the first time in 9 years. He didn't go far, moving into a 5,000 square foot home in Las Vegas with a Bentley in the driveway." Now, the line was later corrected, and it said, "An earlier version of this obituary incorrectly contained a typographical error that used the wrong name when describing Simpson leaving Lovelock Correctional Center. The error has been corrected." Now, the LA Times has not been commenting on this, even though Fox News reached out. Many people quickly noticing the mistake, and it went viral. "Someone needs to talk to a shrink," said Tom Elliott. Even liberal NBC News presidential historian Michael Beschloss posted, "Freud lives." And GOP Rapid Research Director Jake Schneider commented, "And I bet they still won't understand why trust in media is at an all-time low." Now, Fox News contributor Joe Concha believes that it was intentional. I don't think it's intentional. I think it shows the media has Trump on their mind 24/7, and to think of Trump in jail, it was too much for their minds to handle, and the Freudian slip occurred. I think that's what it is. But it does tie in with, and this is kind of an update as well, to a story we've been talking about all week with NPR. This lack of trust in the media. NPR's numbers are down. We're learning when it comes to listeners. Well, on Thursday, the New York Times detailed the internal tumult. I always have trouble with that word. Tumult that has erupted among Yuri Berliner's colleagues. He's the one that did the op-ed or the essay on the liberal bias, suggesting that there was zero Republicans working for NPR. According to the report, the essay, sorry, it's a weird sound. According to the report, the essay was brought up at what was described as a long-scheduled meet and greet with the hosts of NPR's biggest shows on Wednesday, where NPR editor-in-chief Edith Chapin reportedly said she did not want Berliner to become a martyr. Mr. Berliner's essay also sent critical Slack messages whizzing through some of the same employee affinity groups focused on racial and sexual identity that he cited in his essay. In one group, several staff members disputed Mr. Berliner's points about a lack of ideological diversity and said efforts to recruit more people of color would make NPR's journalism better, is what the Times is reporting. A producer of NPR's Morning Edition reportedly rejected Berliner's case about why NPR's audience has dwindled in recent years, insisting a variety of factors contributed to it. And then, not wanting Berliner to be the martyr, then they play the martyr or the victim, saying the next time one of our people calls up a Republican congressman or something and tries to get an answer from them, they may well say, oh, I read these stories. You guys aren't fair, so I'm not talking to you. Okay. Playing the victim. I will say, if a Republican was being contacted by NPR and they didn't already know of the bias, maybe not to this extent, but of the bias, I would be pretty shocked. But one former NPR ombudsman, Jeffrey Dvorkin, said Berliner was not wrong, while former NPR managing editor Chuck Holmes commented Berliner's brave essay on Facebook. Now, Berliner told the New York Times that while he hasn't been disciplined, he, quote, received a note from his supervisor reminding him that NPR requires employees to clear speaking appearances and media requests with standards and media relations. Yeah, I mean, again, it's no surprise of the bias, but it was nice to learn and was brave. It's a whistleblower. In media, this man would normally be praised if it were in a different scenario. But because it's one criticizing kind of a hotbed of this liberal mindset, it's being looked at with this negativity, with this anger. But again, I bring it up because your tax-paying dollars goes to support, a lot of it goes to support NPR and what has been deemed almost a zero-tolerance area for conservatives or for Republicans. Also, let's tie that in. We're starting off hot, coming in hot this morning with media updates. Did you happen to catch any of Catherine Heritage's hearing, testifying on Thursday at the House Judiciary Subcommittee? Went very well, and she talked about, you recall I brought this story to you quite some time ago. She was fired. She was the only one at CBS reporting on Hunter Biden's laptop, which she admitted received a lot of pushback from the higher-ups. Well, she was laid off, part of this big layoff. Many people outraged and shocked because she did do what many consider a very good job, but maybe not thinking, kind of like an NPR situation, in that group thing, okay? So she gets laid off, and while she's laid off, they confiscate, for lack of a better term, all of her information, her computer, her laptop, those type of things. Why that's important? Well, it's important for so many reasons. That was never right to do, but also because she's in the middle of this legal battle because she's refusing to name her sources, and her sources' information were on those laptops. She said, when I was laid off in February, an incident reinforced in my mind the importance of protecting confidential sources. CBS News locked me out of the building and seized hundreds of pages of my reporting files, including confidential source information. Multiple sources said they were concerned that by working with me to expose government corruption and misconduct, they would be identified and exposed. I pushed back, and with the public support of my union, the records were returned. Now, if you recall, CBS's excuse were, at the time, they weren't seized. We were just protecting them for her. Okay. Later during the hearing, Heritage described CBS's action in even more stark terms. When the network of Walter Cronkite seizes your reporting files, including confidential information, that is an attack on investigative journalism. When my records were seized, I felt like it was a journalistic rape, she added. Heritage also discussed whether or not her termination was related to her being held in contempt of court. She said that there are tensions over the Hunter Biden reporting and the Biden reporting, but I can't say for sure why I was let go. So I wanted to give you all of those updates to start off the program. We do have other issues we're going to get to. It's not all criticism of the media, because we're not criticizing all media. You're in the right place right here on Frankly Speaking this morning. We do have a couple New York updates, some really troubling news coming, more troubling news coming from the border. We also have some international issues, some Israel issues. Mike Johnson, I know I keep bringing him up. I don't know if there's a lot of interest there to bring him up. But Hakeem Jeffries signaling that he would perhaps get Democrats to support Mike Johnson if that were to get to that point again. This is not something I hope is done before November. I don't think it helps Republicans. But as always, I would love to hear your opinion on it. So some local updates, New York updates when we come back. We need to take our first break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Great drivers change lanes very fast, but with no outside mirrors. How come they don't crash? Introducing Angel View, the new wide-angle mirror that reduces blind spots. Angel View simply snaps over your car's rear view mirror, giving you a 160-degree view behind you. Just look at the difference. Look, ordinary rear view mirrors are small and flat, but Angel View has a huge mirror with curved glass. This convex shape allows you to see both blind spots with one glance. And with our Pro Edition special coating, it's anti-glare at night. Get your Angel View now for just $19.99. But wait, Angel View may be discontinued. Due to rising costs, Angel View is stopping manufacturing effective immediately. Once the current inventory is gone, it's gone forever. Order now.
Call 1-800-897-0371 or visit getangelview.com. Order now.
Getting aerial video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
We believe in the 2-minute drill, goal line stands, toe taps, strip sacks. We believe in beer snakes, the giddy up, and whatever this guy's doing. We believe in speed and power, hustle and grit, and that nothing is more dangerous than a man with a dream.
A star is born in the UFL.
We believe in football. United Football League, Saturday, Memphis.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. It's a rainy morning here on Market Street as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. So the New York State Legislature has approved the 4th budget extender. I'm not really sure why they do this. They approved an April 15th extension. Isn't that Monday? The state Senate has approved its 4th budget extender until April 15th. Do you think they'll make the April 15th deadline? And the Assembly is expected to follow suit on Friday, but with the spending plan now 11 days late, the 3rd year in a row lawmakers blew past the deadline. Does it really matter? I like this. This is the line they use very often. Hochul uses it herself, but one top Democrat said that getting the budget right matters more than getting it done on time. The problem with that statement is it's not done on time, right? So that part is accurate, but it's not done right. So it's kind of lose-lose in both ways. I never hear from a constituent that they're worried about a late budget, said Senate Finance Committee Chair Liz Krueger. She said that the people she represents want a good budget. But as long as we are paying our bills, we are assuring people that the government of New York State continues to operate. There's no interference in any issue or work that needs to be done. She argued that constituents care about the specifics of what does or does not make it into the final budget, which lawmakers are continuing to determine. Now, Kruger was responding to Republican State Senator Jim Tedisco, who blasted the latest emergency appropriations bill as negotiations continue to drag on, saying, "I want to give you a message from my constituents. They don't want extenders." He said that his constituents tell him that they don't want a good late budget, pointing out the fact that lawmakers are ignoring the constitutionally established April 1st deadline with no consequences. Anyway, now they claim it's being held up over a housing package. Hold on real quick. Excuse me. This weather. One of the items holding up a deal on the New York State budget, now over 10 days late, 11 days, is a housing package that would build new affordable housing and strengthen tenants. Yeah, it's actually 12 days today, unless something, a miracle happens. The biggest sticking point, though, is over tenants' rights. Progressives in the legislature want to enact a proposal known as called good cause eviction. It would prevent, get this, it would prevent landlords from evicting tenants without a good reason and wrap rent increases at 3%. Yes, cap rent increases at 3%. Landlord groups are pushing back against the measure, saying it will further depress the long-term rental market. Senate Republican Minority Leader Robert Ortt said the housing proposal does nothing for areas outside of New York City, and he predicted that good cause would be a disaster. It is essentially tenancy for life. Good cause is nothing more than a direct attack on private property rights in this state. It does have some major red flags at a time when we've been talking about squatters so much, and I have a piece on that we'll get to a little bit later on in this kind of New York segment. I don't know why I've been starting with New York. We jump around a little bit in the 6 o'clock hour with some very different topics, and then we get kind of into the nitty gritty in the next hour with maybe more specifics. And we're going to be talking with San Giovanni Valderno, Sister City, students, educators, as well as chaperones. Okay, so where are lawmakers and Hochul at agreement? According to New York playbook out of Politico, the things that stand on some of the budget priorities where it appears to have some accord, some agreement. First, we'll say, no particular order, migrant funding. A plan to spend $2.4 billion on migrant aid has largely sailed through the budget negotiations. Two people familiar with the talks said the final budget agreement will include that level of spending to support migrant housing, legal aid, and other resources. Now, the money is short of what Eric Adams wanted, Mayor Adams out of New York City. He called for the state to pick up half the city's migrant cost, which he has pegged at $12 billion. Where's this money coming from? You know, I read a thing today that we are one of the higher tax states, of course, as we know. And what was the number? I meant to print it out. In a lifetime that you'll spend in taxes. It was like 500, and this was on average in all of the country. I want to say 500 and some $1,000. But Assembly member Jennifer Rackamar, an Adams ally in Albany, called the funding an important step forward. Now the state must do even more to lead on the migrant crisis, including providing additional funding and organization to manage the influx of asylum seekers. This is not just a New York City issue. It is a state issue. Keep in mind, that's a very important statement that's being made. This is not just a New York City issue, the migrant influx. It is a state issue. Okay, and I think many of us would agree on that. How much of that $2.4 billion then, if it does become a major issue in upstate, how much would go to upstate? I would peg that around zero. So keep that in mind when they talk about this issue being a New York City issue. It is a state issue, again, according to Assembly member Jennifer Rackamar. The next area where there seems to be some agreement, cannabis enforcement. Now, we know that the rollout of legalized weed has been disastrous in New York. It's as if we took all the good ideas of the other states that have legalized it, threw those out the door, and went wild, wild west with it. And it has caused a lot of issues throughout the state. But according to this, swapping a potency tax for cannabis products in exchange for an excise tax is expected to be in the final budget deal. is what State Senator Jeremy Cooney told the Playbook. Lawmakers in Hochul are also in agreement on an enforcement plan meant to shutter illegal weed businesses, as first reported by the Times-Union. That has been a major sticking point because these illegal stores have been popping up everywhere. You've seen them probably near your neighborhoods, popping up everywhere. And of course, we receive no tax money from that. You don't know what products are being sold out of this when it comes to safety. And there's been, because of the Office of Cannabis Management, it's been a joke. It's been nothing but really a PR campaign when they do bust a place up. I've witnessed that firsthand, but many of you have as well. It's more about the optics of it, to look as if they're doing something, not letting local. We had Sheriff Jim Allard on not that long ago saying that he wrote the Office of Cannabis Management and said, let me do it. You've got a lot on your plate. Let us have some power at the local level to shut these places down, because when one pops up, another one pops up, and then they're everywhere. They get busted, and they just move to a different location or find a different way to do it. So they're looking at least a little bit, it says here, in an enforcement plan. But Cooney believes the enforcement plan needs to be packaged with a change in how legal cannabis is taxed. The potency levy has hindered legal cannabis shops from making the product more expensive. An excise tax could even the playing field for legal shops that compete with the unlicensed marketplace. And that is going to be very difficult no matter what the situation. When you start to talk about, having New York State tax on the legal places, or you can go to the pop-up place that's illegal and not have the same amount of tax, cheaper product. I'm sure, obviously, less regulations because it's illegal, less regulations that you would see, I assume, having never visited one, assume that at a legal place, I'm sure there's a lot more rules and restrictions. It's very clear to me the priority of the legislature is fixing the enforcement issue, making sure we can padlock these illegal stores in a timely manner. But let's not also forget our responsibility as a legislature to open up new legal dispensaries. Well, the enforcement has never really been adequate, obviously, but it should have been at the local level from the beginning. Next, retail theft. Boosting penalties for assaulting a retail worker, as Hochul proposed, remains a heavy lift for Democrat lawmakers. Why would that be? Why would that be a heavy lift for Democrat lawmakers? So if someone, boy, this goes back to coddling criminals, doesn't it? It would seem as if we could all be in agreement if someone goes into a retail store where somebody's working, and I'm not going to stereotype, sometimes it's younger people, it could be anybody, but working that job, relatively thankless job, going in there and assaulting a retail worker, and Democrat lawmakers in Albany are saying, we don't want to put stricter penalties on that person that was doing the assaulting. Explain that to me without it just being another prime example of coddling criminals and tying the hands of law enforcement, like bail reform and like the topics we discuss so often. One lawmaker said on Wednesday some version of the measure, which increases the penalty for assaulting a retail worker from a misdemeanor to a felony, could end up in the final budget. The issue is due to be one of the last ones that lawmakers will cover before locking down a final budget. Lawmakers expect additional funding to aid law enforcement in addressing the issue will be included in a final agreement. It's really important that we send a message with the retail workers. State Senator Jessica Scarcella Spanton, a State Island Democrat and a supporter of increasing the penalty, said, we send a message that we support them and that their lives are valuable. Yes, think of the victims. I mean, it goes back to bail reform. These people attacking retail worker, let out before the paper dries, and what do? They could go back and assault another retail worker. It is sickening. We've got one other issue we're going to bring up about New York when we come back. I would love to have you weigh in on all of these topics. I see a lot of waves and comments coming in. I'll try to read those when we come back, so stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
You just have to get in the seat of a John Deere 3 Series tractor. Not because of the powerful implements, or because of our unmatched dealer support. Not even because it's in it for the long haul. You just have to get in the seat because being this efficient just feels good.
Right now, get 0% financing for 72 months on a John Deere 1, 2, or 3 Series compact tractor.
You and tear your old statements and bills, but thieves use this information to steal your identity. Don't be a victim. Get the ID Police, the new ink roller that encrypts all your old documents. So before you throw it out, just roll it on, and your information is gone, both on the front and through the back. Even if the paper is held up to the light, even your medical information is safe with the ID Police. So block it out before you throw it out. Order now and get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 and get free shipping too. This offer is not available on Amazon, so call or click now to get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-898-1002. That's 1-800-898-1002 or visit getidpolice.com. So call 1-800-898-1002. Order now.
Getting real video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
It's a season of sharing.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. I did not forget the name there. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. I was just reading a comment, and I should not read comments in the middle of doing the introduction. But I do thank you so much for being on the program again. Don't forget our friends from San Giovanni Valderno's sister cities will be here. Corning sister city will be here in the 7 o'clock hour. I do have a couple other announcements I want to make later on that I think are worth definitely mentioning to remind you. But first, this comment from a viewer. You bring up the topic of Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. It seems to me that there should be more effort put into the choice as the position. Put into the choice, as the position is next in line after the vice president. Maybe it should be a separate elected position. Well, that's an interesting point. I think the argument, not against that, but the argument there would be, well, elected by their peers and also elected to get into the House of Representatives in the first place. I understand what you're saying. But if we make it a separate elected position, almost like, okay, it's running president, vice president, and Speaker of the House, kind of throws off the numbers of represented by the states, representation by the states. So I'm not really sure how that would work. But also, could it be a scenario where, in theory, because I believe this could happen in New York for lieutenant governor, where the lieutenant governor could actually be a Republican and the governor a Democrat, or vice versa. Could it be that scenario where even though the Democrats, let's say, have the majority in the House, but a Republican could win Speaker of the House? I'm not really sure how that would work. I'm not poo-pooing, so to speak, the idea. I'm just thinking it over on the fly as I read your comment. And thank you always for the comments. And I would love to have other people weigh in on what you had to say, because it sounds at face value like a good idea. But I'm thinking of the logistics and what that could lead, the trouble it could lead to as well. I guess that's what you have to think of when you think of politics. But there's always trouble involved when you think of politics. All right, last New York State issue. We mentioned yesterday that Ron Kim and John Liu are fighting against New York City squatters, or squatters here in New York State. And I had said at the time, is this all window dressing? Is this all politics? Like we're seeing with so many Democrats who are now talking about immigration and needing to close the border after almost 3.5 years, because they realize November's coming. And they look at what voters are saying are most important, and it's immigration and public safety. And I would say the squatters falls under that public safety category. And there's been so many news stories on it lately. So Do they really have voters' best interest at heart, or is this to convince you before November that they care about an issue that's near and dear to you? Well, it seems as if the New York Post editorial board late yesterday, early this morning, not late yesterday, maybe they were watching Frankly Speaking. That could be as well. They seem to have the same mindset. Kudos are due to lefty State Senator John Liu and Assemblyman Ron Kim for seeing the light on squatters. But can New Yorkers trust them fully? The pair of Queens Democrats have introduced bills to legally define squatters as people who enter properties without the owner's permission, and to ensure that the rights of the tenant that New York City so insanely affords people after 30 days of possession. What? Ensure that rights of tenancy that New York City so insanely affords people after 30 days of possession won't apply to such folks. Yeah, 30 days is insane. But even yesterday we mentioned kind of the sticking point of, well, maybe 90 days. I mean, is that really where the problem is? It seems as if we got to go right back to square one, right back to the brass tacks and talk about owners' rights. Well, the move comes after a series of high-profile nightmares plaguing Queens, in which thugs and criminals took over properties and even began subletting them. Yes, I don't know if you heard those stories. I know this is more New York City, but it wasn't just taking over the building, the house, or whatever. They were then squatting, then subletting after squatting, making some money off of it. Yes, Kim and Liu are dead on rhetorically. Quote, criminals looking to exploit property owners do not enjoy the same rights as tenants, and all should be brought to justice, thundered Kim in a press conference. Liu added, people who intrude into others' homes should not have rights in state housing law, and the people and the lawmakers should continue examining even stronger measures to protect homeowners. So a hearty good work is in order, but Kim jumped on the police defunding bandwagon back in 2020, though he changed his tune of late, again responding to his constituents' concerns. And maybe you want to say, well, this is good. You're supposed to listen to your constituents. But is it about listening to your constituents because you care about what concerns them, or is it because you care about what's going to get you a vote? That's the question. And Liu is a long time bad actor, a bought and paid for shill for the teachers union, and an enemy of public school families. We hope Kim and Liu can get their Dem colleagues on board their bill, or better yet, Matera's. But we fear most progressives won't join the drive for common sense on squatters, just as they refuse to embrace those Democrat lawmakers seeking modest criminal justice reforms to stomp out serial shoplifting and protecting retail workers. Great point by the Post there, what we were just saying. To fight against stricter penalties. Well, again, what do you expect? If Hasty truly believes that stricter penalties are not a deterrent, and he's one of the most powerful people in Albany, what can we expect? So if they're fighting against putting extra strength behind protecting retail workers, what makes us think that they're going to put extra strength behind protecting property owners? I think it's a fair question. A few progressives showing sanity on this or that issue will never be enough. New Yorkers need to start rejecting these radicals wholesale, or the madness will continue to rule. I know it goes back to the thing that we've always said, that we need change in New York, but it always goes back to we got to vote the bum out, just not our bum. That's what it seems like in the city. We're lucky here. We don't have that issue, but there's so many radicals that are in Albany. Hasty's opinion is stricter penalties are not a deterrent. And we're expecting even modest changes on criminal justice reform. I mean, I think Governor Hochul truly does realize that public safety is such an issue that she would like to see some changes. I don't think major changes, because she still has to be careful not to lose her far left base. But I do think she realizes from a completely political public relations standpoint, she needs to be stronger, and Albany needs to be stronger in protecting the citizens of New York. Again, I don't think at the end of the day it's going to get done. And I don't think Governor Hochul is doing it from a good faith measure either. I think she's doing it for November because she saw how much damage Lee Zeldin did in the last gubernatorial race, that she could see potential problems in the future, because major headlines every day about squatters, about immigration, about public safety, about the failures of bail reform. I have other examples of that we could probably get to. I don't even know. I believe, and I shouldn't say this because I had the story, and I don't want to report this wrong, but there was wild footage. I don't know if you saw it, and we're not going to talk about immigration quite yet, but it's going to tie in. Wild footage shows an unruly migrant mob scuffling with New York cops at a hotel shelter. So I'll tell you about that because it does tie in with this lack of public safety. And again, remember, we were told by the New York City Police Commissioner, wasn't it, that it's just a perception that you have about public safety. It's not a reality. The numbers are looking great. They keep talking about these numbers. It goes back to inflation that we talk about so often. No, the economy's doing great. Don't worry about it as you have to take out a second mortgage to buy groceries. They can't truly believe that you believe them, right? Are there people really saying, yeah, you know what? I will believe the numbers. Never mind all the victims of crime that I've met and know, or maybe I'm one myself, heaven forbid. Never mind that, or never mind how much I'm spending for groceries. I'll believe you that the numbers are doing great and everybody's glad and happy, and maybe that's why everybody can go to a $25 million fundraiser at Radio City Music Hall for the president's fundraiser. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there are a lot of people that believe that, but that's, I assume, what they're hoping. So, again, I'm running late. I'm going on a tangent. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox.
Coons sit and sleep in Corning. Hey, did you know that Coons has been in business since 1955? Wow, that's going on 70 years. And did you know that Coons is still family owned and operated? Really? That's 3 generations. Way to go, Steve. Did you also know that their salespeople are non-commissioned and they offer delivery and financing? That's awesome. So why do they want you to shop and compare them? Because they are confident that you won't find a better deal.
Guaranteed.
Coons sit and sleep in Corning.
Shop and compare.
Attention, if you were a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
You learn pretty fast that there are no shortcuts in racing or in life. So it's no surprise that there aren't any when it comes to hair loss either. One of my first attempts to deal with my own hair loss was a literal shortcut. Thankfully, my wife found Hair Club. I thought that nobody could understand how mortified I was to be losing my hair. So you can imagine how relieving it was to know that Hair Club's experts have already helped so many people with their hair loss. I was shocked that Hair Club had virtually every solution possible. If I had known about Hair Club sooner, I never would have tried any of those overhyped advertised solutions.
With over 120 locations, Hair Club is North America's largest provider of complete hair loss solutions. Whether you choose surgical, non-surgical, or restorative solutions, Hair Club has you covered.
If you're determined to get your hair back and live the life you deserve, just call Hair Club. You can get your own free personalized consultation with a hair loss expert and be on your way to the finish line in no time.
Scan the code on your screen now to schedule a free consultation and save 20% on select solutions using promo code Frankie.
We believe in the 2-minute drill, goal line stands, toe taps, strip sacks. We believe in beer snakes, the giddy up, and whatever this guy's doing. We believe in speed and power, hustle and grit, and that nothing is more dangerous than a man with a dream.
A star is born in the UFL.
We believe in football. United Football League, Saturday, Memphis, Birmingham.
We are back with Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I'm your host, Frank Acom. Receiving a comment from a viewer tying in what we were mentioning with New York State, and then we'll get to what I promised I would bring up. This is a really good point, and just so you know, I agree where you say this location is. I'm almost positive, but I don't want to give Publicity, number one. And I also, if it has been shut down or something like that, I don't want to get in any kind of trouble if it turns out it's no longer an illegal weed shop. But I appreciate it. And again, I think you're right. But on another topic, illegal sticker shops and cannabis stores, you said that in most cases that they are busted. They could just move the business to another site. I noticed what looks like an illegal sticker shop in our area in a travel trailer. So now, if they close that site down, they could just hook up another vehicle and move it to another location. Talk about mobile. Yeah, that's how wild it's become. I'm sure we've all heard stories about various illegal sticker stores and how they skirt around the laws with different ways of traveling, almost in like a delivery, like an ice cream truck scenario. I've heard numerous ones, and I don't know how much are rumors and how much are true, so I won't pass them all along to you, but I've heard some pretty crazy, really smart ways to be legal, I guess. I mean, criminals know how to be legal. The laws should have been put in place before everybody agreed to them. Should have been set in stone to know how to handle these situations and not have it be the wild, wild west. It boils down to that. This was inevitable. Because of the rush to show that we're doing something, the rush to get the vote, and I think at the time it was Cuomo, right? To get the vote as it was becoming popular. And there's a prime example. Cuomo very against weed until he realized, ooh, this could be good for me. So thank you for that comment. All right, so there's this footage of an unruly migrant mob scuffling with New York cops. It captures the moment cops in Yonkers are forced to scuffle with a group of rowdy migrants at a local hotel packed with asylum seekers. Police busted 2 people during the Tuesday afternoon melee at a local Ramada Inn, but not before they were surrounded and berated in Spanish by an unruly migrant mob. Cops were called to the hotel shortly before 1 p.m. on reports of an out-of-control guest. Now, I'm not going to give you the whole rundown, but the one guy, Arnold Kent, 35, he was surrounded, or he was taken into custody, and then the police were surrounded by a crew of other migrants. So why I bring this up is because it ties into our last story. Kent, after all this trouble, scuffles, getting in trouble, getting handcuffed, causing this mob mentality, Kent was charged with menacing, disorderly conduct, and obstructing governmental administration, and released without bail. Okay, so that ties in. Now, I want to remind you, because this is coming up this weekend. I've mentioned a few times this week, but this is something we all look forward to here on the program. It is that time of year. Friends of the Southeast Steuben County Library book sale at the East Corning Fire Hall begins tomorrow. Now that, just so you are aware, you have to be a friend of the library to participate tomorrow, but you can sign up to be a friend tomorrow or renew your membership. So keep that in mind. And you see the times, the prices there. Runs till the 20th. Again, first day for Friends members only. Join or renew at the door. Cash or checks only. That's very important. But if you are an avid reader, this is a must-attend event. Okay? All right. There. I think that covers everything there. That was the first one I wanted to bring up. I'm just giving you some time there to read over that information. We have some other, I think, very big announcements about local events. I did want to remind you as well, and I talked with Robbie Nichols not that long ago about this, but the Bucky Dent event is coming up. If you're a Yankees fan, do not miss this. I know we received some great comments from viewers that they already had their tickets well before I had the interview with Robbie Nichols, but it goes to benefit the Elmira Pioneers. It's the Hot Stove Dinner with Bucky Dent. It's coming up next Friday, a week from today. 5:30 is a VIP meet and greet. 6:35 is dinner. It's at the Clarion Inn on East Water Street in Elmira. Tickets just $50 per event. If you want more information or you want to purchase tickets, you can call. You ready? 607-734-2690. That's 607-734-2690. Or if that was too fast, you can reach out to me at the number on the bottom of the screen. Text me and I can get you the information that you need to know. All right, should we? I mean, this is relatively, this is breaking news. So let's talk about this for a moment. A direct attack on Israel from Iran is expected imminently, according to a report. Now, we've been hearing this a few days. There was a delay for various reasons, but the attack could come within the next 24 to 48 hours and target southern or northern parts of the Jewish state. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. However, a person briefed by leaders of the Iranian regime noted that no final decision has been made about attacks, though they have been discussed. The strike plans are in front of the supreme leader, and he is still weighing the political risk. Tehran has vowed revenge against Israel over an airstrike last week in Syria, which targeted an Iranian diplomatic complex in the capital city of Damascus. 7 Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps members, including 2 top commanders, were killed in the airstrike. The U.S. Embassy in Israel issued a security alert Thursday warning employees and their family members not to travel outside of central areas of the country. Out of abundance of caution, U.S. government employees and their family members are restricted from personal travel outside the greater Tel Aviv and Tel Aviv areas until further notice. There's a whole list here, but it's kind of worded strangely. U.S. government personnel are authorized to transit between these 3 areas for personal travel. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, remember him? I wonder how, I'm not even joking about this. I wonder how his health is. I never heard much more about that. As he kept that secret, that kind of died down in the news cycle, right? He also spoke with his Israeli counterpart, reiterating the ironclad U.S. support for Israel's defense in the face of growing threats from Iran and its regional proxies. Secretary Austin assured Minister Gallant that Israel could count on full U.S. support to defend Israel against Iranian attacks, which Tehran has publicly threatened. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that harm would come to anyone who launches attacks on the Jewish state. Whoever harms us, we will harm them. We are prepared to meet all the security needs of the state of Israel, both defensively and offensively. One thing I do have to say about Benjamin Netanyahu, I know a lot about Chuck Schumer. A lot on the left cannot stand Benjamin Netanyahu. It seems to me, talk about the right person for the right time in Israel. And I know some people in Israel aren't happy with him. At least that's what's being reported. You never know about the reports. But even when President Biden called him and kind of, I'm not going to say threatened him, but said, this is what you got to do, blah, blah, blah. Don't do anything else. I shouldn't have said blah, blah, but you know what I mean. There's a lot there. Benjamin Netanyahu said, we're going to go into Rafah. That is only a matter of time. He's not backing down because he realizes ending Hamas has got to be the number one goal, or Israel's never truly safe from their attacks. They're always planning attacks, and when President Biden calls for ceasefire, it's always important to remind you that the ceasefire, there was a ceasefire on October 6th, and then you saw what happened on October 7th. So very often when you see somebody comment on it from the left, Hamas is rarely, if ever, mentioned. We got to take a break. I'm running late. I realize that, but we're just having so much fun on the program this morning covering everything. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Friends have been friends about Colonial Penn guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance for more than 50 years, and with good reason. If you're between the age of 50 and 85, it's a sure thing. Your acceptance is guaranteed because full benefits are not paid in the first 2 years. And the price? Options start at $9.95 a month, less than 35 cents a day. With Colonial Penn, your rate is another sure thing. It will never increase. And you should know this coverage can last a lifetime.
Call today, 1-800-475-1050.
Getting real video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
We are back with Frankly Speaking as we broadcast on this rainy but beautiful day on Market Street. And we're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I'm so glad that you're joining us this morning. And I thank you to everybody who has gotten used to the 6 o'clock hour. I can't thank you enough. So back to the issue of Israel and the lack of support by many in the Democrat Party and what looks like Biden as well. A Boston-based Jewish organization said Thursday it was deeply troubled by Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren's claims that there is, quote, ample evidence Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. The American Jewish Committee sent a letter to Warren that accused the Democrat of providing cover to extreme voices by claiming that Israel could be found guilty of war crimes in a top United Nations court. Yes, it's these kind of comments, the comments made by Biden, that are really being used as, in many cases, propaganda for Hamas. Hamas is seeing that weakness of us not supporting full-heartedly our ally, seeing that they, and when I say Hamas, their PR apparatus has done a good job of manipulating people with numbers. Very often we'll have a news report here that will say, that will quote from Hamas's news report. So they see that weakness, and they sit back and say it's only a matter of time. And then you see comments like this from Elizabeth Warren. But this is what the letter said. We write to express our deep disappointment and concern about your recent comments regarding Israel's defensive war in Gaza, which aims to rescue the many hostages currently held by Hamas, the terrorist organization responsible for the single most deadly attack against Jews since the Holocaust, and to offer our assistance to you moving forward. And that's the troubling part, to accept the line of reasoning that people like Elizabeth Warren and Biden and others are using. You have to completely ignore the October 7th attack. You have to completely ignore comments that Hamas has made that they want more October 7th attacks. Warren revealed last week that she believes the International Court of Justice will find that the Jewish state had committed genocide in Gaza after a war crimes case was brought before The Hague by South Africa. If you want to do it as an application of law, I believe that they'll find that it is genocide and that they have ample evidence to do so, Warren said during an event at the Islamic Center of Boston. A spokesperson for Warren noted that her remark was not a reflection of her views on whether genocide is occurring in Gaza. Well, Ron Lincoln, the director of the American Jewish Committee, said, nevertheless, we believe that your statement was inaccurate and hurtful and did not reflect what is happening in Gaza or the likely outcome of the South Africa's claim against Israel at the ICJ. Now, if you remember, Lloyd Austin has told senators that there is no evidence Israel is committing genocide. Blinken has called the genocide claim meritless. While we are confident that it was not your intent, your statement has provided cover to extreme voices who have been maliciously accusing Israel of genocide long before a single Israeli soldier entered Gaza. It is also true that the Jewish people know that genocide is what it is. The Nazis' systematic extermination of Jews was one of the events that led Raphael Lemkin, a Polish lawyer of Jewish descent, to coin the term in 1944. It is, therefore, especially painful when the term is employed in ways that are certain to encourage outrage, but do not nearly apply to the reality being described. We got to take a break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks are a burden. Now you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen One, the portable oxygen concentrator you can take almost anywhere.
With this little device, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
The Inogen One is so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen One for 30 days completely risk-free. Give us a call right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days completely risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen One system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 1-800-929-7290. Again, that's 1-800-929-7290.
Sheldon and Missy face off in
Why can't we watch DuckTales? Because we don't learn anything.
Book Smarts versus Street Smarts.
Is it working? Are you feeling motivated? Very.
It's the battle of twins.
Life is so confusing. I always hoped it would be easier for me when I grew up. It's gonna be all right.
We are back with Frankly Speaking. Our first hour, almost over. It's hard to believe because we have so much fun. In the next hour, of course, as I've been mentioning, we'll talk with San Giovanni Valderno, Sister Cities. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's 2 short interviews, just interviewing the visitors here and finding out a little bit about their fundraiser coming up shortly. I do have quite a bit on immigration and the real threat of immigration. As we've talked about, we know there's already a threat, but what it can mean about terrorism and the like. We do have a couple things about Mike Johnson. I know someone finally commented. I know I bring up Mike Johnson a little bit too much, and I don't know why. I just find it. I find how this has been playing out, not good politically, but also kind of fascinating. The cloak and dagger kind of mindset, and Mike Johnson, who I think is a good man and I believe is doing a good job. The fact that they're still trying to, here we are in April, to unseat him before we have to worry about the November election, it makes no sense to me. So it's kind of just something fascinating to watch. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the hour, New York Representative Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, hinted that reasonable Democrats could throw a lifeline to Speaker Mike Johnson in the event of a GOP mutiny against him. So we'll talk about that coming up in a little bit as well. A couple of things to highlight as we do a little bit of housekeeping here at the end of this hour. Oh, I know. I'm going to save that for the next hour. I want to bring that up at the top of the hour because I think that's important. I want to mention that on Monday's program, we're going to be talking with Mr. Gregorian. He has been running the Raphael Gregorian Ballet Theater for many years. He has, and the cast is of all age groups. If you are into ballet, this is for you. It's Cinderella, Saturday, April 20th at 2 p.m. at the Clemens Center. So we're going to talk to him just for a little bit. We do have some other guests, of course, coming up next week, so I hope that you'll tune in every day of the week. I think we're already booked up. But they're not everything is set in stone, so I don't want to give too much away there. But I want to say we may have a guest every single morning. There may be one day where we have just a little time for you and me to spend the full 2 hours together. So, coming up, like I said, immigration, Mike Johnson perhaps, our friends from San Giovanni Valderno, Sister City. As always, please weigh in on the topics we're discussing this morning. What do you think about the delay in the New York State budget? What do you think about, like we said, the illegal cannabis stores? You see the number on the bottom of the screen. Feel free to weigh in at any time. I know we had some pretty heavy topics there. We've got more coming up. So hopefully you've had a couple cups of coffee and you're ready to dive in to the second hour of Frankly Speaking coming up after this short break. So please stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking as we broadcast live from the Hesselson Studios. Stay with us.
Wow, you found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
This right is confidence in a bottle. It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face. And what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home, so we we applied it to his under eye bags, and let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view, and now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the
Hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking. Welcome. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on this rainy day. Cannot thank you enough for joining us. We have a lot to, if you missed the 6 o'clock hour, you missed a ton. But we have a lot to cover in this hour. And in the bottom of the last hour, we were talking about Israel and the scary information coming out that Iran could attack really at any moment, 24 to 48 hours. That report was from last night. So, this is an interesting piece by a gentleman named Andrew Stein. Andrew Stein is a Democrat, and he served as New York City Council president from 1986 to 1994. And he says for the first time in recent memory, many traditional Democrats are considering leaving the party over weakening Israel support. They should, and vote Republican in November, says Mr. Stein. The refusal to veto a one-sided United Nations Security Council resolution, the threats to cut off military assistance, and the failure to condemn the Squad and its radical allies for falsely accusing Israel of genocide are alienating Jewish and non-Jewish supporters of one of our most important allies. They believe, quite rightly, Hamas becomes emboldened and less willing to release hostages every time the Democrats wobble on Israel. And I would agree. Look at when Chuck Schumer came out and was saying Benjamin Netanyahu should be out. Or look what Biden says, we need a ceasefire. And all of these things add up, and Hamas is sitting back and going, look at this weakening support. We're winning in the war of public perception when it comes to Democrats. They believe that had President Biden stuck with his initial support of Israel's need to destroy Hamas, the war might be over and hostages released by now. The most recent policy changes have actually made it more difficult to reach a ceasefire agreement in exchange for hostages. Biden's shift is substantially motivated by domestic political concerns this election year. And that's what's so infuriating, so frustrating, that it isn't about Israel, our ally, and doing what's right by them. It's about him, meaning Biden, looking at the polls for November and what the how radical his party has become. Biden is concerned about losing votes from Arabs, Muslims, and young radicals who oppose not only Israel's right to defend itself, but its very existence. Yes, many young people calling him Genocide Joe. You see the protests, even loud protests at the $25 million fundraiser. He seems more anxious to secure the support of the from the river to the sea crowd than to maintain the support of traditional pro-Israel and pro-peace Democrats. He is wrong as a matter of both national security and domestic politics. Our national security requires Israel to destroy Hamas and not allow terrorists to win. Yes, not continue to show weakness to these terrorists. If Hamas believes it can benefit from its barbarism, as it seems to be doing in many parts of the world, it will repeat them at a theater near you. Politically, radical anti-Israel voters will never be satisfied as long as Israel exists. They will demand policy changes to which the administration cannot agree. What's more, they have nowhere to go. They can't vote for Donald Trump, whom they accuse of imposing a Muslim ban. All they can do is stay home or throw away their votes by pulling the lever for Cornel West or Jill Stein. Pro-Israel voters, on the other hand, have an option. Some can vote for Trump, who has a strong record on Israel, very strong record on Israel. Some can vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has a substantial following and has also been very supportive of Israel. Biden can no longer count on pro-Israel voters. He must earn their votes, and if he continues to weaken his support for Israel, he won't. Many Jewish and other pro-Israel voters have told me they don't know for whom they will cast their ballots. They won't automatically vote Democratic anymore. They'll decide closer to the election and evaluate each candidate based on the totality of factors, including Israel. They could have a real impact on places such as Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Florida. These states account for 60 electoral votes compared to Michigan's 15 electoral votes, and why he mentions, and this is by Andrew Stein if you're just joining us, he mentions Michigan's 15 because that's a hotbed of these protests. We mentioned Dearborn, Michigan, having that rally where there was right on the street chanting death to Israel and death to America. So Biden is really changing his position on Israel very much to cater to Michigan. The Democrats would be foolish to risk pro-Israel voters in exchange for a relatively small number of Arab and Muslim voters who may not vote for Biden, even if he weakens his Israel backing. The same may be true of young radical voters. So Biden would do the right thing on national security and politically if he kept up the support he showed in October 7th's immediate aftermath. He correctly pointed out that if Russian President Vladimir Putin wins in Ukraine, he'll expand his aggression to nearby countries. The same is true of Hamas. If it's allowed to benefit from its terrorism, it will expand it beyond Israel. Israel faces existential threats from Iran and its surrogates, as we were talking about earlier today. An attack, they believe, within 24 to 48 hours. It is fighting for its survival. Most Americans support Israel, but not most young and radical Democrats. Biden and the Democrat Party must choose. They could choose justice and peace over bigotry and terrorism. President Trump was probably the strongest and best supporter Israel ever had. His bold moves included abandoning the dangerous Iran nuclear deal, ending funding of the pro-Hamas United Nations Relief and Works Agency, which, by the way, I should highlight Biden reversed, recognizing the Golan Heights as part of Israel, and moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. His Abraham Accords, which normalized relations between Israel and such Arab countries as the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Morocco, were frankly revolutionary. They showed improved Arab-Israeli relations are not dependent, as the bipartisan foreign policy establishment thought, on creating a Palestinian state. Republicans are by and large overwhelmingly supportive of Israel. Jews need to rethink their votes for Biden, and Democrats, they'd be wiser to vote for Trump and Republicans who will stand behind them in Israel's war with Hamas and Hezbollah. That, again, if you're just joining us, Andrew Stein, a Democrat who served as a New York City Council president from 1986 to 1994. I thought that was a really important kind of bookend to the Israel discussion we've been having on the program this morning. Okay, I've got a quick announcement. I've been putting this off all morning because I wanted to take a little time before we go to our first break, because we are going to hear from San Giovanni Valderno Sister Cities members when we come back after our first break. Actually, excuse me, after our second break. We're going to talk with them. But I wanted to highlight this quickly. The moving wall. Now, if you're not familiar with the moving wall, it is a half-size replica of the wall at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. The moving wall was built in 1982 to honor those who died in the Vietnam War. The wall now has carved into its names of the 58,300 American military personnel, 8 of whom were women, who were direct casualties of the war, including about 1,300 who are still considered missing in action, but officially classified as died, body not recovered. So the moving wall is coming to Tioga County, Pennsylvania, in July, honoring over 58,000 who sacrificed their lives, and it will begin on Wednesday. I know this is ways away. I just wanted to tell you because it's big news. On Wednesday, July 10th at 3 p.m., with opening ceremonies, and is available for viewing 24 hours each day through closing ceremonies on Sunday, July 14th at 5 p.m. So you have 4 days to see the moving wall. The moving wall is departing on Monday, July 15th. So there we are. All right. So a couple other things to get to when we come back. We are going to talk about, are we going to go to immigration? Sorry, I had that announcement. I had some other announcements. I'm getting distracted here because we got comments coming in. Please feel free to weigh in on the topics that we have discussed all morning long. And we'll also talk about a few things here about Trump, a few things here about Biden presidential race. But we've got to take our first break, so stay with us. This is, frankly speaking, here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
We are proud to serve our country, to serve our local communities, to wear the uniform, to be a soldier, to serve abroad when and where duty calls. We are ready to stand with our brothers and sisters to defend, to serve, to fight. We're always ready. We're always there. We are the New York Army National Guard.
Attention, if you were a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
What do you do when your tire goes flat and there's no air anywhere? You reach for Bullseye Pro, the smarter, faster, hands-free way to fill it up with air. Bullseye Pro is equipped with a rechargeable lithium-ion power plant. So fast and so convenient. It's like the power of an air compressor in the palm of your hand. Look, you can inflate all 4 tires on a single charge. It has a built-in smart pressure digital sensor that gauges and automatically stops when the set tire pressure is reached. Easily inflate pool toys, exercise balls, and more. Call or go online now and get the complete Bullseye Pro inflation system for the factory direct price of just $79.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free, and we'll give you a 50% discount on a second one. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-977-4997. That's 1-800-977-4997, or go to getbullseyepro.com.
The Fox Sports app isn't just any sports app. It's your sports app. Yeah, yours. Your teams. Your highlights. Your scores. Your stories. Just choose your favorites to get more of what you want.
To the end zone!
And of course, stream your teams live. The best part is free with your pay TV subscription.
We are back. Sorry about that. Boy, we got a lot of breaking news that just happened. For the viewer that commented, I did see that the Watkins Glen Italian Festival has been canceled for 2024 because they can't find enough volunteers. But, you know, maybe they're guaranteeing it'll be back in 2025. Here's hoping. Volunteers, it goes back to what we've said so often about community and being involved in the community. All right, I'm pulling this hot off the printer, folks. Breaking news. Biden has canceled another round of student debt for over 200,000 more borrowers. The Biden administration is canceling student loans for another 206,000 borrowers as part of a new repayment plan that offers a faster route to forgiveness. I've got to say, I think it's, you know, as a party that keeps talking about a threat to democracy, isn't it really interesting how Democrats will say, we've got to protect you against this threat of democracy, which is Trump, Republicans. And yet Biden is almost giddy when he talks about ignoring the Supreme Court over student debt forgiveness. Interesting. The Education Department announced the latest rounds of cancellations this morning in an update on the progress of its SAVE plan. More people are becoming eligible for student loan cancellations as they hit 10 years of payment, a new finish line for some loans. It's a decade sooner than what borrowers faced in the past. Casting a shadow over the cancellations, however, are 2 new lawsuits challenging the plan's legality. 2 groups of Republican-led states fronted by Kansas and Missouri recently filed federal suits arguing that the Biden administration overstepped its authority in creating the repayment option. From day one of my administration, I promised to fight to ensure higher education is a ticket to the middle class, not a barrier to opportunity, President Biden said in the statement. I will never stop working to cancel student debt, no matter how many times Republican elected officials try to stop us, or the Supreme Court tries to stop us, right? Why not mention that? And why not mention that it is an election year? And why not mention that this is hope that you're hoping that this will help by a few votes? Because what else is this mad dash as we near November? With this latest action, the Education Department has now approved cancellation for about 360,000 borrowers through the new repayment plan, totaling $4.8 billion. Now, I'm not going to get into all the nitty-gritty of it, but that is breaking news this morning. Biden canceling another round of student debt for over 200,000 more borrowers. All right, here we go. Did not plan to go on that side tangent, but I don't think any of us believe that to be very surprising. All right, you want to... I don't know. Do I go to this? It seems like we've talked a lot of doom and gloom this morning. So we've talked about the open border so often on this program. Not just what it's doing to resources, not just doing what all the negatives that people associate with the porous open border. But one thing that I think for a very long time the media ignored was the real threat of terrorism. Well, a suspected member of an anti-West, very strong anti-West terrorist group was turned loose by federal authorities after being apprehended crossing the U.S.-Mexico border and later freed again when he went before an immigration judge, according to a new report. Customs and Border Protection agents apprehended and released Mohammed Karwan, 48, after he illegally entered the U.S. near California in March of 2023. Despite suspicions, the Afghan national was on the FBI's terrorist watch list. This coming, of all places, NBC News. Karwan was released under Immigration and Customs Enforcement's Alternative to Detention Program. Yes, Alternative to Detention Program. A process that generally requires migrants to submit to GPS tracking or reporting their whereabouts on a smartphone app. After Customs and Border Protection agents couldn't definitively determine if he was on the terror watch list. Almost a year later, the FBI notified ICE that Karwan was a suspected. Almost a year later. I'm sorry, some of this I'm taking in, I have to reread. The FBI notified ICE that Karwan was a suspected member of the U.S. designated foreign terror group Hezb-e-Islami, or HIG, H-I-G. HIG, which operates out of Afghanistan and parts of Pakistan, is described by the National Counterterrorism Center as a virulently anti-Western insurgent group, responsible for the deaths of several U.S. soldiers and American contractors. ICE agents arrested Karwan on February 28th in San Antonio, Texas, according to the outlet. But his time in custody was short-lived. ICE prosecutors failed to inform the Texas immigration judge handling Karwan's detention proceedings about his suspected ties to HIG because the information purportedly linking him to the terror group was classified. You don't even want to say Keystone Cops because you don't want to downplay something like this. As a result, the judge, rather than ordering Karwan to be deported or detained, freed the suspected terror group member on March the 30th after he posted a $12,000 bond. Where did he get the $12,000 bond? The judge placed no restriction on Karwan's movements inside the U.S. He is required to appear before court. If you're nervous, he's required to appear before the court again for a hearing in the year 2025, a year away. ICE has not appealed the ruling. Now, I know we bring these numbers up to you a lot, but Border Patrol agents have encountered 370 migrants. This is them encountering. That's not to say the ones they haven't encountered. 370 migrants on the terror watch list illegally crossing between ports of entry since 2017. Numbers shot up under President Biden, with 172 migrants with suspected terrorism ties encountered in 2023 and 70 in the current fiscal year. 70 in 2024. Last month, FBI Director Christopher Wray, who we're going to talk about here in just a little bit, told senators that the Bureau is very concerned about human smuggling networks with ties to terror groups that utilize the southern border to gain entry. But again, nothing is being done. And Wray admitted there's a distinct possibility that terrorists could be among the 1.8 million, the number of 1.8 million gotaways, or people who illegally made their way in the U.S. without being apprehended. What's to think, actually, out of the 1.8, statistically, 1.8 million gotaways, how many would be? I mean, there's no doubt there would be terrorists in that group, and that's terrifying. Don't get me wrong. I don't say that with any glee. It's terrifying. Obviously, I don't say it with any glee. This is another example of why we need to close the border. Ray said at the time, I think there are many ways the national security ramifications of the issues at the border are being reflected in some ways more by what we don't know about the people who snuck in, providing fake documents or in some other way got in, than when there wasn't sufficient information about the time they came in to connect the dots. Thank you for this question, Ken. Yes. Did you see the Biden handlers have had him approve a new Second Amendment law? If I have it right, all firearms transfers between individuals will soon require background checks. I believe you have that right. As a matter of fact, I believe that's almost exactly what it is. I saw a report this morning. So it's what they're calling is expanding background checks. And the White House finalized a new rule. It doesn't even say Biden here. The White House finalized a new rule that aims to close what's known as the gun show loophole. We've heard so many politicians talk about it in the past. The Biden administration expects 20,000 gun dealers who sell at weapons exhibitions or on the internet will now be required to pull customers' criminal history and keep a record of sales. Gun industry groups threaten to challenge it in court. The rule implements the bipartisan gun safety law passed in the wake of the Texas shooting. Okay, so that's a quick thing I saw this morning. Thank you, Ken, for bringing that to my attention. Not really surprised. He's going to be making a lot of pushes for these people who are maybe going to Kennedy or going to Cornell West. You're going to see him talk tough on immigration, tough talk on things that he's polling very badly in. But look, go gun control, cave on his support for Israel. So, yes, thank you for that. Now, also tying in, I got to take a break. I didn't plan this properly after that last story because there's more on this. But coming up, we are going to hear from our friends from San Giovanni Valderno, Italy. That's in just a short commercial break's worth of time. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Are you over 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Then call now and get this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. This book reveals little-known secrets about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms that can help you make the right choices before buying an annuity. And if you call right now, as a bonus, we'll throw in a free annuity rate report. We've researched over 1,200 annuities summarizing the rates and benefits for you. So don't miss out on this opportunity because supplies are limited. Call now and find out how you can get up to 33% more income in your retirement, and you'll receive Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report as an added bonus. Both books are yours free, just for calling Annuity General today.
Call 800-354-5972. That's 800-354-5972. Again, 800-354-5972.
Is this the start of a dynasty?
Ryan Blaney is a NASCAR Cup Series champion.
A redemption tour? Ready to go to work. Is this the face of a ruthless competitor or a villain?
I'm being your favorite driver.
Is it time for a breakthrough? Let's go! To get back to breaking stuff? Or is this the makings of the wildest ride you'll ever witness? It's all of the above, and it's about to go down. Any questions?
The Fox Sports app isn't just any sports app. It's your sports app. Yeah, yours. Your teams. Your highlights. Your scores. Your stories. Just choose your favorites to get more of what you want.
To the end zone!
And of course, stream your teams live. The best part? It's free with your pay TV subscription.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox, broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and I can't wait to get to our guests. Could you please introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Georgia.
Hi, Georgia.
Hi, I'm Elisabetta.
Hi, I'm Marta.
Well, thank you so much for being in the studio today. So tell me, you've only been here about an hour, or a day, I should say. What has the trip been like so far?
It's been incredible. Before coming to Corning, we went to New York City, and it was very, very beautiful.
Yeah.
And this morning we have just visited your school, and we found it incredible. So we are still thinking about all the things which are completely different from our school.
Yeah, we were processing the thing.
Well, that's a lot to take in,
Yeah.
Especially coming from New York City to here. What was your favorite part of New York City?
We went to see the summit, the big skyscraper, and it was absolutely stunning.
Yeah. What does New York City compare to Corning? It's a little smaller, but we still got some big buildings, right? So do you know the schedule that you have for this trip? Is there something you're looking forward to the most?
It's probably
the White House.
Oh yeah.
We are visiting the White House.
That's great. So you're going to Washington. That's how long are you here for?
10 days.
You're doing all this in 10 days? Wow. I'm exhausted for you. I'm tired already. So when you look at the schedule, the White House is your favorite. But what other events do you have coming up?
On Monday, we'll go see the Museum of Glass and the Rockwell, I guess.
Oh, cool.
So we're excited about them.
Yeah. How was the travel over here? Was it a long trip?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
From New York.
From San Giovanni Valderno.
From San Giovanni Valderno was quite a long trip.
It was.
But
so just before we go, first of all, welcome. I know you've been here for a little bit. What would you like to say to the people back home that clearly are watching in San Giovanni Valderno?
They must visit Corning.
Well, thank you. We should come out with an ad for that. Well, thank you so much for being on. All right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. More interviews to come. Stay with us.
Our water's better tasting, it's better for the planet.
That's great, sir. Can I take your order?
Oh, number 3.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install our drinking water and softening systems, we're thinking about filtering contaminants and the minerals that make water hard. So you can just think about softer, cleaner, better tasting water. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Name something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Share in the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud.
7 and 7:30 on Big Fox.
Saturday on Fox. It's the annual Scarlet and Gray game.
The new era begins today.
In a pivotal year for head coach Ryan Day, Ohio State looks to rise to the top of college football once again.
Are you kidding me?
Who will be the next Buckeye QB?
Wow, how about that?
Or the next great receiver?
Buckeye Nation has been waiting for this moment.
It all begins with the annual Ohio State Spring Game. Saturday at noon Eastern on Fox.
Our water's better tasting, it's better for the planet.
That's great, sir. Can I take your order?
Oh, number 3.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install our drinking water and softening systems, we're thinking about filtering contaminants and the minerals that make water hard. So you can just think about softer, cleaner, better tasting water. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Name something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Sharing the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud.
7 and 7.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. We're joined by part 2 of our interview. If you could please introduce yourselves.
Myself. My name is Paolo. I'm from San Giovanni Valdarno, coming here for the Sister City program. I'm very happy to be here.
My name is Emanuele. I am a president of Italian committee Sister City.
Okay.
Michelle Caulfield, superintendent at Corning Painted Post School District.
So how was the welcome party yesterday?
Gorgeous.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was unexpected.
Yeah.
We had drums waiting for us.
Yeah.
Playing. It was very exciting. It's always like that. I mean, the welcome are always very warm, and we like that. We try to reciprocate when they came, but we are not as good as them.
I'm sure you disagree. Yes. How long have you been coming over here to Corning?
We start this Sister City program more than 20 years ago.
Oh wow!
We recently signed the new agreement. We renew the Sister City agreement with Corning. Everything happened after 9/11.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in the aftermath of 9/11, we thought that we could make a twin agreement with the city of with an American city, and we came to Corning. That's it.
We heard earlier about the amazing schedule that you have. Is there a favorite part that you're looking forward to the most?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Could you tell us, or am I just going to guess?
No, we have a very strict schedule during these days, and we think that to meet people,
that's really what it's about.
Talk with them, find also opportunity to increase our programs and our activities here and in Italy. I think the main reason why we are here is that.
I was talking to the mayor, Bill Bolin, who went and visited you, and I think the neatest part about the Sister City is the bonds that you form and the people that you've become friends with through the years.
Yeah,
have you found that?
That's important.
Yeah.
That's
family.
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 Yeah. We are family.
Yeah.
Corning is our second city.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Is there a best part to being the chaperone for all of this? Is it
mainly that.
Seeing everybody.
We are trying also to be chaperone for other activities, and we just looking forward to host them in Italy, as well as to bring other people. For example, the musician that will come, it's new. Something new that we succeed in setting.
Yeah.
I think it's important to enlarge people and activities in order to keep going like that.
And that's a perfect segue.
Yeah.
Because we want to talk about the fundraiser, which is coming up. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so Sister Cities will be hosting a spaghetti dinner on Tuesday, April 16th. It'll be held at the high school, which is a change in location from years prior to. It starts at 4:30 till 6:30. It's going to be followed by a show by a renowned pianist from Italy named Andrea Turini. We're really excited to have him come. You can get takeout, you can come and just have dinner, you can do dinner and a show, and there's different price points for each of those tickets. You can get tickets at some of the businesses on Market Street, but you can also contact anyone at the school or from the Sister Cities Club, and we can get you tickets, or you can pay that night when you come.
Perfect. Well, just before we go, is there anything you'd like to say to people watching back home?
We want as many people as possible to join this program.
Yeah.
So please contact the Sister City Committee, be in touch with the school to be informed about the activities, to be part of this world, let's say. Above all, the students. We're looking for students to be asked in San Giovanni Valderno. We have a huge school, a very nice school in San Giovanni, ready to host them. But beside that, be in touch with us. We are very, very happy to be, to become friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being on the show, and have a fun trip and safe travels, okay?
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox.
Attention. This is an important message for firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown that chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was diagnosed with any of those cancers, call now for a free case review.
Getting aerial video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
It's a new season of Sherry.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
Are back with Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you so much to our friends from San Giovanni Valderno. And there's our cast. That's our guest from that interview. I had a lot of fun. I really appreciate them being on the show. That was a lot of fun. I think the Sister Cities Committee does an amazing job. And also I want to highlight, here we go. There is all the information you need to know about the upcoming pasta dinner and piano concert. It's on Tuesday, April 16th at Corning High School. Come for dinner, stay for the performance. Dinner is from 4:30 till 6:30, and at 7 o'clock is the concert. You can enjoy renowned concert pianist Andrea Turini from San Giovanni Valderno, Italy, as he performs Bach's Goldberg Variations. And it's going to feature accomplished students from Corning High School. What a fun event. Now, I will highlight, if you don't want to stay, if you don't want to stay for the concert because you have other plans, whatever, you can eat in or take out the meal. It's just $15. Dinner and the concert, just $20 for all of that excitement, and it'll be fun to see the students again. So thank you again to our friends from San Giovanni Valderno. What? I'm not sure. I received a message. I'm not sure what that means. Okay. We were talking earlier about the terrifying news that an Afghan migrant on the terror watch list was freed in the U.S., released twice. And the numbers statistically show that 370 migrants on the terror watch list illegally crossed between ports of entry since 2017, with the uptick of 172 migrants with suspected terrorism ties encountered in 2023 and 70 in the current fiscal year. I'm just giving you that recap. I know we already talked about it, but I want to tie it in with this. The FBI is concerned about possible coordinated attack in the United States after the Russia massacre. Let's add that wave. The FBI is concerned about the possibility of an organized attack in the United States, similar to the one that killed scores of people at a Russian concert hall last month, the Bureau's director told a House of Representatives panel on Thursday. As I look over my career in law enforcement, I would be hard-pressed to think of a time where so many threats to our public safety and national security were so elevated all at once, Christopher Wray told, and that's who we were mentioning earlier, told lawmakers at a budget hearing on Thursday. But that is the case as I sit here today. Now, U.S. officials have been worried about the possibility of an attack carried out by an individual or small groups inspired by the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. But the FBI is growing concerned about a more coordinated attack following the concert massacre in Russia, Wray said in his testimony before a subcommittee of the House Appropriations Committee. Of increasing concern is, quote, the potential for a coordinated attack here in the homeland, akin to the ISIS-K attack we saw at the Russia concert hall just a couple weeks ago. Wray cited the law enforcement agency's concern about terrorism to help persuade lawmakers to boost funding for the FBI, though he is likely to face strong pushback from congressional Republicans. That's according to the piece by Reuters. The problem is, and this is one thing that has been ignored so frequently, and I know this happened actually just yesterday, you start to not trust organizations like the FBI and others who have done nothing really about our borders, have focused on groups that maybe they potentially should not be focused on. So Representative Mike Garcia slammed Christopher Wray. I don't know if you saw that during the hearing. Wray met with the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Thursday afternoon, urging Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act to be reauthorized by Congress and discuss next year's budget. When it was time for Garcia to question Wray, he didn't hold back. Mike Garcia said, "I'll be honest with you, and this pains me to say, but I don't trust you." The legislator told Wray he did not think it was a funding problem, but rather a lack of transparency, along with the weaponization and politicization, yeah, said it right, of issues and instruments used for national security against Americans and institutions like churches. And that's where I mean, where you start to see what they're focusing on, the politicalization of and the weaponization of the FBI. Garcia accused Wray of standing relatively silent and passive about the biggest national security threat to the United States, referring to the southern border, and refused to give little credence in the director's ability to do his job or lead the brave agents below him. "I don't trust you to protect us. I think because of your inability to lead and also shape the policies and the DOJ and at the White House, we are now in a more precarious position than we were, I would submit, than we were on September 10th of 2001. Well, there is a point to be had. I will say he said that it's very unlikely, or there's very little that they're scared of terrorists coming across the border, but it's not. They have kind of sugar-coated what is a major threat, and I hope I'm wrong about this, waiting in the shadows. Now, during the hearing, Wray spoke about the border and his concerns about it being open, particularly in terms of how the opening benefits the cartels and the flow of fentanyl. He told the subcommittee that when agents take down violent gangs, they notice it includes the seizure of fentanyl. The fentanyl is coming from what cartels, which are getting the dangerous drug, and we've talked about this numerous times, from China. That is, pardon me, it's almost like a chemical weapon attack by China, this influx of fentanyl, because as many have said, that one book recently that came out said that there is no fentanyl that does not have a China connection. Wray continued to speak about instances with the cartels, saying he was asked to help from the Mexican government in dealing with those dangerous criminals. Garcia told Wray that prior to him being able to ask questions, the FBI director had only mentioned the southern border about 4 times, glancing over the idea that there are over 7 million people who have entered the country illegally, 350 of whom are on the FBI terror watch list, and 1.7 million who are able to flee border patrols before being apprehended. The representative accused Wray, Attorney General Merrick Garland, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, and President Biden of not protecting American citizens and putting them in a clear and present danger situation. "You have been unable to change the policies driven by your leadership." Can I get a simple yes or no response? Does the border policy make your job easier or harder? Are we safer or less safe as a result of the open border policy? Ray responded and said he has been consistent in citing his concerns about the threats along the border, and he disagreed very strongly with a number of aspects of it. Well, then Garcia asked if he had gone to Biden and pointed out that the border policy is a galactic, stupid policy from a national security perspective, and if so, how it went. That's a weird way of posing a question. Ray said, well, I'm not going to get into specific conversations with people. I've been consistent in my message externally and internally about my concerns about the threats that are from the FBI's perspective, that emanate from the border. So, again, a lot of talk, nothing of substance. Oh. We have so many comments, and here's the problem. We have, I don't have another break coming up for a long time because we had our guests and we play the back-to-back interviews. So I'm going to try to go through these as best as I can. Hey, Frank, thank you for the comment. Thank you for reaching out. I really appreciate that. In full disclosure, I should have mentioned this a little bit earlier on. They were in the studio yesterday, but if I see them on the streets in the next couple of days, our friends from San Giovanni Valderno, I will definitely tell them you said hi. Yes, I wish I could have had an opportunity to tell them, but yeah, the interview I recorded yesterday because their schedule is so jam-packed, I didn't want to ask them to come in at 7:20 in the morning or 6 or whenever they wanted to come in, so I did ask them to record to make it easier on their schedule, and they were kind enough to do so. So if I see them, I will definitely make sure to say hi to them. Thank you for the comment. Another comment from a viewer. I heard the legacy media say that the percentage of illegal immigrants let in that were on the terrorist watch list was 0.05% of the total let in under Trump and only 0.02% under Biden. What they didn't say was that the total number of illegal entries under Biden has been arguably 10 times the amount let in under Trump. I'm sure the sheeple don't realize the actual numbers under Biden is substantially higher. That could be. I don't think the media would present it that way. Yes. Sorry you're doing this on the air. I normally try to read the comments during a break, but like I said, I took so many commercial breaks. And yes, I did see that they are potentially closing some roads because of flooding. I don't know how bad it is supposed to get, but thank you for that. I will try to do a little more research on that. All right, back to immigration, and please keep those comments coming in. I really appreciate it. Biden ICE official was asked about this. Jason Hauser was on NBC Nightly News. He served as the ICE chief of staff under the Biden administration, and he reacted to a report that Border Patrol released a man who was on the terror watch list. That's who I had mentioned earlier, saying it's very rare, but it's not. That was his exact quote. He said, "This is very, very real. There's a large capacity and capability for both Border Patrol, ICE, federal law enforcement, and the intra-agency to identify and vet these individuals as they come to the border." Very rare is not good enough. It shouldn't be an issue. But the border is completely wide open and porous. Now, there are Democrats, and Republicans have been outspoken about this from the beginning, but there are Democrats that are starting to come around to this. Now, some more cynical would say that's because November is coming up quickly. There are speculations, and Axios is reporting that it's going to happen, that Biden may go back to using the system that Trump put in, the executive order that Trump put in, which, when Trump did it, was called the Muslim ban. I don't think we'll see that same kind of rhetoric coming from the media about this. But Biden, who knew he could do this from day one, knew he could have been doing something, now 3.5 years in, saying that maybe something should be done. Again, this is very much like we've been talking about with Israel or wherever else. Whatever else the issue, Israel, we've had so many this morning, where it's all about the vote. So it's not about what's actually good and right for the American people. It's about what's going to help in November, the student loan announcement that I made at the beginning. So Democrat Representative Tom Suozzi, who just won that special election to take Santos' seat, said he wants Joe Biden to take some unilateral action on this open border, and stated that the president has started addressing it much more. He talked about it in the beginning of his administration. Okay. So here's the issue here. Suozzi realized that to win the congressional seat, he had to take some stances that were not popular with Democrats. He had to run as a conservative. So now he's thinking about, again, November, because remember, he has to run again. I don't know what Suozzi will actually govern like, how he'll actually represent when he's in there for a full term, if that is to happen. But he said this is the problem that the American people are concerned about. And I've always said that the best elected official, the best politician, is the one who says what the people are thinking already. And the people of the United States of America, whether they're the Republicans, Independents, or Democrats, are concerned about this border. They're concerned about what they see on your show tonight. This is again from NBC Nightly News. What they see as chaos. And a wall is not going to solve it by itself, but listen, make it a part of this solution. Let's get a bipartisan solution like the Senate bill that was negotiated by Senator James Lankford, one of the most honest, ethical, conservative Republicans in the Senate, along with Senator Chris Murphy and Senator Kristen Sinema. Let's use that bipartisan compromise and let's push it forward. People are worried. That uncertainty of what's going to happen because of this open border is making people worried. Well, we know worried's the word of the day. I would also add, it's not just a worry about what it's doing to places like New York City and elsewhere, these sanctuary cities. It's not about the crime rates. It's not about, it is all of these things. But it's also about what we're hearing now is real serious terrorist threats. But I'll continue. And we have to recognize that people said to me during my campaign, and even now, oh, the border. That's a Republican issue. No, it's not. It's an American issue, and we must address it. Now, the president has started addressing it much more. He talked about it in the beginning of his administration. Now he's talking about it more. And I'm hoping he'll take some unilateral action and we can force a bipartisan compromise because we had a deal on the table. And President Trump swooped in and said, oh, I don't want to give Biden a victory. I want to run on the chaos. Well, that's unacceptable. Let's make a deal. Let's actually address this very real problem. So a couple things to nitpick apart there, which is kind of interesting right there at the end. Now, obviously, he sees a political reason for this. Oh, my goodness, I am running late. A political reason for this. I get it. It helped him in his campaign. But that bill it wasn't Trump swooping in and saying we don't want to give Biden a victory. It was not a good bill. That has been stated numerous times. It was no compromise bill. It was give in to the Democrats completely. I would also suggest that if you are really saying Biden has been talking about this from the beginning of his administration, when he was erasing the executive orders that Trump had in, I mean, that's just factually inaccurate. He has only started to really take it seriously now that he sees the polls that have showed it at number one on voters' concerns. We got to take our last break, and I'm going to read through some comments. Thank you for all these. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Can you hear me? There we go.
Hi, and welcome everyone watching at home. We're here to remind you that we have agents standing by right now to answer your legal questions. So if you've been injured in an accident, it was not your fault. Call now. Find out if you have a case and how much is potentially worth. I'm Gina Bellich, here with spokesman and TV personality Tom Mustin. So Tom, tell everyone watching at home who should call right now.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me here in the studio. Now, as far as who should call in, the answer is anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault should give us a call right now. Agents are standing by to answer any questions you may have and tell you how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. So what kind of calls are we seeing today?
Well, Gina, we're getting calls about all types of accidents, but the most common has been car accidents. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, take that first step and give us a call. We'll answer your questions and you'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. Call now.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I thank you for the update. I don't know what happened. There's something weird around that last break that I had pushed the wrong button. I think you should be hearing me now. I apologize for that. I just saying we're having a lot of fun this morning. I appreciate all the comments from viewers. Ken was kind enough to update us on this information. The issue about the Corning Bridge is they're installing flood protection devices to guard against potential flooding. So you should be able to hear me now. Could someone give me a thumbs up if you can? I appreciate that. If you have a second. So I'm going to start. There's still no sound. There is still no sound. Okay. Can't hear you, Frank. I don't know. Is there really no sound? Anything? Anything, man? Anything now? Can anybody hear me? Okay, you can hear me. I'm getting a thumbs up. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. I was just saying that we do have, there we go. I'm going to count those all as waves. Why not? I apologize about that. There was a little bit of an issue with the commercial break, and I was saying that Ken was kind enough, I don't know how much of this you heard, Ken was kind enough to tell us that the flooding is installing flood protection devices to guard against potential floodings here in Corning. That's what that was. All right. I have sound. Thank you. As we talk about, and we are out of time, but as we talk about inflation and groceries and everything costing so much more money, no matter what the media tells us, energy prices have soared almost 30% under Biden, 13 times faster than the previous 7 years. It's outpacing inflation even. So you tie inflation on with there, you tie the cost of electricity. Since January of 2021, electricity prices have soared 29.4%. That's 50% more than overall inflation, rising 13 times faster than the previous 7 years. Meanwhile, in those 7 years before Biden took office, electricity prices rose just 5%. The usual trouble spots persist: shelter, motor vehicle insurance, maintenance and repairs. Service costs, add electricity to that list, up 0.9% in March and 5% over the past year. Yes, it's one. I mean, these are the kind of things that people, wherever you are positioned on the political scale, there's something, I would think, you're taking this to the voting booth with you. All it will take is getting that bill at the kitchen table about your electricity, or putting gas in before you go to vote, or stopping at the grocery store and remembering they're telling you Bidenomics is working, no matter what your wallet is experiencing. That inflation, one article we had for you the other day, inflation is actually a good thing. Inflation is actually a positive for you and your family. We are out of time for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thanks to our friends from San Giovanni Valderno. I forgot to tell you, they gave me this beautiful tote. I love San Giovanni Valderno. Thank you so much for our guests. Thank you to everybody who commented. What a great show. We'll be back Monday morning starting at 6 with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox. Have a great weekend, everyone. See you Monday morning.